Let's tell me to rotate here. All right, we're trying to get this thing rotated around the way it's supposed to be. It says you can't turn the phone while we're recording. So there we go. Okay, now we're good. Okay, once again, good afternoon. This is Jim Hodgson and Kevin Renshaw here at the Fort Worth Aviation Museum, home to the most touchable warbirds in Texas. Kevin and I were planning on doing an update here this morning and realized we haven't talked to you all about this airplane since February. We did kind of an unescorted view of the airplane back in March, but Kevin, let us know what you've been doing the last few months.
Okay, we've been busy in spite of the heat. It's nice and sweaty out here these days, so we start early and we kind of wrap it up around noon. What you're looking at here is the replacement front end for the aircraft. In July of 1979, the last time this aircraft flew, the nose gear collapsed and it destroyed the radome. And then when the aircraft went to the Air Force labs, they wanted to convert it to look like a production airplane, so they cut off a segment of the YF avionics bay and grafted in a production F-16 radome and nose. So we've undone all of that, and what you see here, everybody says, well, that looks longer and pointier than a stock F-16. It's the correct lines for the YF-16, but this is actually the avionics bay plus the radome. We did it all in one piece just to make it cleaner and have fewer joints. They had wiped out all of the existing structure, so we kind of went back to ground zero. This is actually a monocoque, sort of self-supporting structure, although we are in the process of adding some metal structure down the center on the inside. My biggest worry in life is that some little kid out here in our touchable warbirds is going to try and do chin-ups on the pitot probe.
Right, yeah.
So we're making this thing strong enough to resist that sort of thing. I've had several people tell me the last time I showed a picture of this on Facebook, well, you're missing all the instrumentation pieces. No, we aren't. We just haven't put them in yet. This is an angle of attack probe, and it will get mounted one on each side on the inside here. All you'll see is the little cone sticking out. And that had the 3 channels of flight control feeds from each side of the AOA probes. And then we'll also be grafting on. The nose is going to get trimmed and shimmed a little bit here, but we will have a pitot probe out the front here.
Perfect. Just for anybody who may not be aware, what is an AOA probe and why is it important?
Okay, it's the angle of attack. It's the angle between the flow, the airstream coming in, and a reference line on your airplane, typically the center line of the engine or center line of the wing. F-16 is set up with an angle of attack limiter to avoid departing the aircraft. It won't let the pilot get the airplane past 27 degrees alpha. Alpha is the term for angle of attack.
Okay, so that's a pretty high angle, isn't it?
That's a pretty good angle.
Yeah.
That's, you know, you're digging in a turn at that kind of angle of attack. The angle of attack sensors also feed into the flight controls to control the leading edge flaps and other parts of the flight control system. So the other thing that's gone on in the last 3 or 4 months since we last talked is you can see all the paint has gone off the aircraft.
Yeah, it really looks good.
We had it media blasted back down to bare metal, and if the temperature ever gets below 100 again, we've got paint to start putting on. We're going to start with a chromate epoxy primer. I want to give a shout out to PPG Paints. They have donated all the material for us. That's expensive paint. It's aircraft grade green primer,
okay,
and then we'll start back in with the white overall coat.
I was going to say, might give a shout out to the blasters too.
Yes, yes. Danny Darling and Longhorn Dustless Blasting came in and set up in here. They did the F4 and the F-16. You see the F4 getting ready to paint back there. They've been kind of priming all the gaps and fastener heads on that one with spray can stuff. It's getting ready to get shot with the same kind of zinc chromate primer. You can see the wings have been cleaned off here. Everything will eventually go back to this green, but right now it looks kind of a dull silver gray, which is just the surface that the media blasting left us, which turns out to be a really good, what they call tooth in painting. Yeah. It's just slightly rough, and the paint really likes to stick to that.
It almost feels like it had like a 220 grit or something.
Yeah, it's like a very fine, that's kind of what it was media blasting. And he actually used a combination of glass beads and coal slag.
coal slag. I didn't know they used the coal slag.
They used some coal slag in this. The whole important part about the way they blasted it is you want blasting media that is harder than the paint you're removing, but softer than the metal. You don't want to take off a lot of metal with the blasting. You just want to get all the paint off. This was about a day-and-a-half operation. Danny got out here early in the morning, set up. He's got the full environmental suit.
Yep. It looked like it snowed here for a while, too.
It did. And then he swept it all up and vacuumed it out, and we were all cleaned up, good to go.
They were really great. We were really glad to be able to work with them. The airplane just looks so good at this point. It's just, it almost looks like it's painted.
Yeah, it looks like, because it's all kind of one color. The other things we've been doing, the one place you'll see some color next time Jim swings over this way, this area right here. This was my least favorite problem child when we got the aircraft. The trucking company that brought it to us didn't want to pay for a wide load permit, so they actually sawed 6 inches off the airplane on either side of the strake. Right. And here's some parts.
Yeah.
And so that was several weeks worth of work to put that back together, and we just made new exterior panels on the top, blended it all back in. Nobody will ever know it again, but it was just one of those things that we had to work through.
Just one of the many challenges. When I look back, because we've talked about this now, that it's been here for just over 2 years, getting on 2.5 years. If you hadn't seen it when it first showed up, and then during the various stages, so people can go back and look at the videos.
Yep.
But we uncovered different coats of paint, and we uncovered different markings. We uncovered signatures in the airplane. And
it's got history built into it. We call it aviation archaeology.
Yeah.
As we uncovered things, because it had 2 layers of paint and some special materials from the lab testing it on a pole for electronic testing. It had the old red, white, and blue air show paint job, and we'll still show you one example of that. Below that, it had a flat gray paint job. It was Compass Ghost gray for a while. And then before that, this is the aircraft that was the baby blue and cream sky camouflage when it first rolled out.
Right.
So overall, one of the reasons we had it blasted, we discovered scraping it was not going to get all 8 layers of paint off the airplane.
No, and you probably would have ended up digging into the metal some.
Yes. Well, in fact, we'll show you in just a minute, on the vertical and horizontal tails that have composite skins, we did hand sand those. We didn't want the blasting, because the blasting media is harder than the composites.
Yeah.
It would have turned them kind of fuzzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't want to tear up the surface of the composites, so we've been hand sanding those and fabricating some patches and replacement parts on those.
Well, it just looks so good. I mean, it's on its own landing gear. We can move it around when we need to.
Yep.
And we have moved it around some. We did for the media blasting, took it out in an area where it would be easier.
Yeah, we got it away from the building here. We took it out there in the middle of the ramp.
The heat has not been our friend, but your guys have come out and put up a little pop-up tent so that they could get some shade and work under it.
Yeah, we do that, and
so we have continued to progress since February and March on the airplane.
It's been slow but steady.
Yeah.
And we're going to get there. We hope to start getting it painted this fall once the temperature drops down a little bit. If you try and shoot paint in this temperature, the paint actually dries in the air before it hits the surface, and you end up looking like asphalt instead of paint.
There's no reason to rush anything at this point. It looks so good. We don't need to make it hit some kind of a deadline on it. So did you want to show these other
let's
pieces?
walk around. One other thing we wanted to show.
I'm going to go under the airplane.
Okay, you can take the shortcut.
Give people an
You can see where we blasted back partway into the inlet. We didn't go all the way down the duct. Some of that wasn't in too bad a shape. That was always a white paint, and we'll finish that out again. The vertical tail laying here, as I said, we hand sanded it, and we're back to the red, white, and blue air show paint job. This one says F-16. Even though this was a YF-16, they felt that number 2 was so close to being a pre-production airplane. Number 1 said YF-16 on the tail. Number 2 says F-16 on the tail. And you can see where it says General Dynamics.
Yeah, you sure can. It's there.
Get the seal out of the way.
And that's all going to be returned to looking like this, right?
Yes, it's going to go back to that. That's the paint job. We've got the markings documented.
And stand in the shade here a little bit so we don't lose the.
This piece is another one of our construction projects. When we got it back from the labs, this is the tip of the vertical tail that goes in here.
Okay.
And you can see it looks just like an extension of the tail.
Yeah.
Breaks with the rudder here. The one that was on it when we got it was a production version that has this big square box on the back that has electronic warfare antennas.
Yes, okay.
And that was not appropriate for this aircraft. we took it apart, and it's like, no, there's nothing here to save, so we just fabricated a new one out of fiberglass.
Oh, nice.
So
now,
that's
who here has the fiberglass?
Well,
fiberglass
Butch Sickles is one, and this is my part
Okay.
here.
Well, Butch has helped a lot. He built the mold for the
Butch
nose.
made the nose. Yeah, he did the layup for that nose, and you can see the nose is in two pieces, top and bottom. And what we've been doing is there's a lot of sanding and fitting because it's a one-off part. So we spend all day, take it off, sand a little here. We're trying to get the contour so it exactly matches the rest of the airplane. We don't want to have a big step there.
Right.
And when we finish that, Butch is going to take it back to his shop with this
Bead, because I use. Oh, okay, we're back.
We're back.
We got disconnected for some reason, but we're back again.
So we were talking about how Butch Sickles will finish out the nose, make that all one piece, get a good coat of primer that will resist sunlight.
Okay.
Fiberglass does not like to be left out in the sun, which is why this is disconnected right now.
Okay.
Till we do some
But
finish.
that is the final nose.
That is the final shape.
Okay. The final shape or the final nose? There's going to be another nose produced.
No, that's the hardware we're going to use.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
It's
fine.
just got some more sanding and filling and buffing out to do. Right now it's just in kind of the shape it came out of the mold.
That's perfect. What else do you want to show people here today?
Other than that, you kind of get a view of the airplane with everything removed. The F4 over here behind us.
Yep.
It's the next paint job going on. It's going to be in the paint job of the 433rd Satan's Angels.
Satan's Angels, yes.
In Vietnam era sand and spinach.
Yeah, sand and spinach. I've never heard that, but I like that. Yeah, and I'm going to show folks the TA4 also because it's looking almost finished.
Yep.
So, well, Kevin, I'm going to leave you for now. I appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
It's good to catch up with you guys, and we'll be back again in another month or so.
Okay.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a quick look here at the F4. At any point in time, we're going to lose connection here because of the heat. But I want you to see where we have come with the F4 so far. It has been completely sanded down, and they've gone through and they've worked on all of the joints, as you can see. They're working on fabricating a few panels this morning. So it's been sealed up because we need to have that so that when the new paint's on it, we won't have any leakage issues with water to try to avoid corrosion issues. So I'm going to back up so you can see the whole thing here. So it's going to be, it's really going to be nice to have this airplane finished, get it back into its proper paint, as we might want to call that, with a good livery, the 433rd. And so that's our F4C right here. And I'm going to make a little bit of a turn around the ramp. Don't want to make it too fast, make everybody dizzy. But here is our TA4J in training command colors. Most of the paint is done on this one, at least the big paint. We still have markings to do on it. But this is the way the airplane looked when it was in VT7 and VT22 in Kingsville and VT7 in Meridian, Mississippi. So this is a really nice addition, getting it back to its true livery. We've got to hang a couple of drop tanks on it, but it's coming along very nice. This is when the sun is out and bright, it almost blinds you on this airplane. So you can see the ramp is pretty well clear. We've got these two major projects that we want to complete before we get to anything else. The glowworm repairs were completed. We've got the Kiowa on the trailer inside the glowworm, along with our AH-1J Cobra. And the Hiller, of course, is out here. So that's pretty much what has been going on. Oh, you might see that little black trailer in the back. That is an M4, I think it's referred to as a personal simulator theater. So that's a really nice addition that we've got to the museum, and as soon as we can get the power situation on that taken care of, that's something we're going to be able to provide for people with rides. So at any rate, it's too bright for me to see if there's any questions. We'll pick those up when we get back online. But from the Fort Worth Aviation Museum, this is Jim Hodgson here at the home of the most touchable warbirds in Texas. We appreciate you tuning in for today, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Maybe in another week or two, we need to do a bird dog update. So thanks a lot, folks. Have a good weekend.